rosé.
Hmm.
Pretty good. It's kind of like a
You
summer
did?
drink. What?
Why would you do that?
It tastes better.
Why
I
would you
like
do
it.
it?
You've never done that?
No.
It's so good if you do LaCroix and then like you can put like strawberries or like fruit in it.
Susan is in the waiting room and Fran DeFeo.
Yeah, he's always on it. Okay, I'll write him down. DeFeo.
Maybe I'm going to admit Sue and see if she got her background.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's recording. Good.
Yes.
Shan. Gallery. Ooh.
Yes.
I like this background. Vineyards.
Hey, Sue, can you hear us? And want to ask you if you got your background set up.
Yeah, just have to unmute, turn video on.
And we have right R is waiting, whoever that is.
Right R.
Yeah, right R.
Oh, we're matchers.
You're in the vineyard with the chair.
Oh, you got to turn your sound on.
Oh, Scott Jordan. I don't know which Scott Jordan it is because it's always like it's either Scott Jordan or it's other Scott Jordan.
Yeah, his son does it.
I get it any better? My
Oh
hair
yeah, we
is
can hear you.
chopped off. I move it closer.
I think it's fine, yeah. Oh, you can just see the chair, which is not a big deal back there. Sometimes it goes in and out because it's close.
Oh. My chair?
No, the brown. No, the brown chair, the little toy one. See it in your,
Okay.
Okay.
there you go. Now it should be gone. Now it's
It looks good though.
I'm walking in the vineyard.
Oh.
Okay. My hair is all over there. Oh. Corona hair, what it is.
I have it too.
Yeah. First thing we'll do.
Yes.
First thing. How many people do you usually get on this?
The first one we got like 70. Last one maybe like 30.
Yeah, like 30 or 40, which is pretty good.
Still a lot.
There's 5 right now, but
Did you kind of wait till you get a crowd and then you let them all in, or?
yeah, they're all in the waiting room right now. There's only 5, but
And how long do you wait until you actually start? Do you let them in then, and then they're quiet while you let them in? Or?
yeah, I mean, yeah, for maybe a minute I let them in and I greet. I usually just say hi to the ones that I've seen before, like this girl Fran I see in Scott, and
yeah,
Kevin Jordan. Oh, he's going to be in it too. Lindsay.
Yeah. Well, just keep interacting with me if you think I'm on to the next, right?
And
sometimes I know too much, and so you want to tell the whole story. You can't tell the whole story.
Yeah. And I'll probably mention that I'll have people. Maybe I'll have them on mute. Tell them to mute themselves if they're not.
Yeah.
Like the first one where the people chimed in, like Scott is his son. No offense, but
yeah.
Just because, yeah.
But you keep yourself, you and Lindsay or whatever, that maybe you're not muted so that you interact if I'm
correct.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, cut me off. Direct me, let's put it that way.
Karen E. Mayo, I think I forgot who that person is. Emily.
Oh yeah.
Riverside Presbyterian Church. Remember that one?
Yeah. I don't know who that is. Not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And we got 8. Oh wait, what time is it? 3:01. We gotta go.
Okay.
Okay.
We got 11 this time.
That's okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Uncle Robbie.
Hey, Scott, how's it going?
I'm still on water. Okay.
Awesome. Oh, Kevin, welcome.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. I'm letting in some more folks here. And we'll get started.
Wow. Nice background, Lindsay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful weather out here.
Yeah. It was spectacular, I have to say. When I drove over, I was shocked. The vineyards are ripping. Holy schmoly.
Definitely.
I can't believe it. It's just crazy. With
What's
no
the
rain.
temperature up there today, Rob?
Mm.
Some random wine art. It's a little pop of color. Bring some life to this room I'm in. All right. It's 3:03, so I guess I'll get started. Welcome everybody to our 7th virtual tasting. I'm your host again. I'm Robert Young, 5th generation of the Robert Young family, accompanied by Scott Jordan, who most of you have met, who is one of our hosts here in our tasting room, as well as Mackenzie Lord, who many of you have met. And then we're accompanied by my aunt, Susan Sheehy. She's 4th generation, our lovely family historian. And she's going to be taking us through a little bit of the family history this afternoon. So today we're going to be tasting our 2019 Rosé, 2019 Sauvignon Blanc, part of our, we're calling it our summer series. We're also throwing in our 16 Malbec, which is one of the only wines we haven't showcased here on a virtual tasting. If you haven't already done so, please open up your wines, whatever that may be. And I'm going to hand it over to Sue, who's going to start on the a little bit of history, the background, where we came from. And lastly, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in our chat box down below or hold them on until the end. Sue, I'll hand it over to you. Hi, Sue.
Great. So welcome everybody. I had Lindsay asked me if I could expand a little bit about our family history. And most of you kind of know that we made it to California for the gold rush, but where'd we come from? Where you know, what was beyond that, the older history. So as a family historian, I've been kind of looking into that. I had the opportunity to go to Alsace, Lorraine, France in 2014 and also 2018 to this little village. In some of the old archives, I had read that the family was from Berlenbach, Alsace, France. And on visiting friends in Germany, with their help, we contacted the mayor of this little village. It's pretty small, as you can see. You see the little church in the middle. The mayor's office is in the building right next to the church. And so we contacted the mayor, made an appointment with him, and he opened up the archives. And with the family tree that I had, I knew that my great grandfather had been probably born in about 1700s. So he had children born in the 1820s. So with some of those dates, I went into the old archives. At first, everything was written in High Deutsch, in old German script, which we couldn't read. And we couldn't find the young that we were looking for. So we had the dates of the children, and we started to look them up, and sure enough, we found an Elizabeth, we found a Michael, we found a George, but we also found out that our name isn't Young, it's actually Jung, Jung. So that was a shocker. So with that in mind, we now had some dates, and then the mayor said, well, would you like to also see the house where they lived? And I said, absolutely. So I think we have the next slide, Robbie. Met the mayor. Well, I'll see that on the next slide, but this was a momentous thing for me. So I made sure that I had packed a bottle of our Robert Young wine, gave it to the mayor, and assured him that the Youngs had survived. And the reason they had left, he said, is that there was disease in the vineyards. So this area in Alsace had vineyards in those days. And there was no work, there was no vineyards, disease. And so people left in flocks, families left together. So it seems that the Youngs left for New York. And probably in about the 1830s they left, and they made it to upstate New York near Rome or Verona. It's a real small village, and they became farmers. So they left with 4 children, 10, 8, 6, and 4, and 2 of those, Michael and George, when they were in their 20s, so in the 1850s, now in New York, heard about the gold rush and decided to come out to California. So that's how we made it from Alsace to New York and then off to California. Well, Peter, my great-grandfather, was actually born in New York. He was the next child, the 5th child of the Young family, born in New York. And so when he was also in his 20s, he followed his 2 older brothers out to California. So that's how he got here. And so I've been now to that little village twice. And when I was there and met the mayor, he was a farmer too. He had cows, and he told me that, I'll meet you at 4 o'clock, but I got to milk the cows at 5:30. So it was a brief meeting. It was super fun. This is the house on the right, is the house where the Youngs came from. And there was a family living there. I met the family, and I believe, it was just an amazing experience for me. I really, really loved it. So next slide, Robbie. Okay, so you know a little bit about, we made it to California. We were prune growers for the first 3 generations here in California, prunes and grains and cattle. And then in the 1960s, my dad, even as a prune farmer, Dad was always interacting with the University of California to be, doing the latest practices in prunes. And the farm advisor, Bob Sisson, in this slide or photo on the left, he came to Dad and suggested that the pasture behind our house would be a great opportunity for him to plant these new varietal grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon. And so Dad did. And then we know that a few years after he planted those and the first crop came in, Dad realized more money in grapes than prunes. So he started tearing out the prune orchard. So you've probably heard that story before. And so Dad continued to work with the University of California. This picture is from 1976, and the University Extension representative was there with Bob Sisson on the left. And, you know, they're examining their plots. They had plots out in the vineyards where they were testing different practices of pruning or different varieties that might work well in our soil and our climate. So we've always worked closely with them. Then the next one on the middle one with all those names, when in the 1997 or so, when we were starting the winery and thinking of the first wine that we would make, it was going to be one wine. And so we wanted to honor our dad. We wanted to sort of say who we were in relation to him and honor our heritage, our family. So we came up with all these names and, you know, crossed them off for different reasons. It didn't sound good. Or somebody was already using it. It was already trademarked. So we finally came upon Scion. At this point, when I wrote it down, this was a brainstorming session we had with all of the family of my brother Fred's house. And all the family was around, and we looked for another word for generations, and so we came on Scion, and we liked it. And then my brother Jim said, well, you know, Scion is also that offshoot that comes off of the grapevine. And so it was like one of those aha moments. That's amazing. That's great. That tells our whole story. I mean, but could we trademark it? And so that was the next step, and we were able to do it. At that time, the Scion car had come out, but that was trademark. You know, that's no problem because it has nothing to do with grapes and wine. So that's sort of that story, right?
Thanks, Sue. That was really interesting. We appreciate you telling us.
Okay. So you may have more questions. There's a lot more story, and I'm happy to, you know, email me and I'll tell you more story.
And as we do more of these guys moving down the line, we're most likely going to do one a month or so, and we'll still feature a history component. And so let us know if you have questions about certain things or would like to cover certain topics. I personally felt like it would be neat to hear a little bit of pre-1858 stories. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Sue.
Sure, thanks.
Susan, this
Yes.
is Karen.
Oh, I hear
Hi,
you.
everybody.
Hi.
I have loved some of the stories that you've told when you were younger, like when you were younger as kids, growing up on the ranch when it was prunes, because you guys were also featured in a prune commercial. But just tell I'd love it. Tell a couple stories when you were young and growing up on the ranch.
Yeah, well, you know, it was a prune ranch growing up, and as I said, my dad was very active in the prune advisory board. So he often went to San Francisco to the Ferry Building for his meetings, and I'd tag along with my mom. We'd go shopping while Dad had his meetings. And so one of the things that the Prune Advisory Board was doing was promoting prunes. And so they needed a farm family that they could feature. So we have this old, you know, movie reel of my sister Joanne was probably around 12. I was probably 7. We're in our clean little shorts with our clean little prune buckets, you know, hop-scupping out of the house, you know. I think Jim and Fred were too young. They were infants if they were there at all. And so we're, you know, heading out to pick prunes. I mean, it was like Norman Rockwell, but that's not the way it is when you pick prunes. You get down and dirty. And as kids, any kid that has ever picked prunes, that has come to the winery, we meet people that have had prunes when they were kids, they always tell about the prune fights. So when you're kids and you're out picking prunes and it's too hot and you can't stand it, you got to have a little fun. You pick up a real squishy prune and you throw it at your enemy, and it's always fun. we'd pick a box of prunes for 25 cents. And we use that money to buy our school clothes. And school in Healdsburg was delayed a month. Usually didn't start till the end of September because kids worked in the harvest and they needed money to, you know, buy clothes and things. It was essential. That's how it was growing up.
Very cool.
More,
Thank you.
Karen?
And we used to use those prune boxes, I know, for decor at some of our events, but I think unfortunately they were part of the fire, right? They got in our storage unit.
Yes, a few, but I've been able, fortunately, one of our neighbors here in the valley is a bit of a, I won't say a hoarder, but he's a, he keeps everything. And so he still has a barn full of prune trays and prune boxes. And so I've asked him for a few, and he shared them with me, and so I've been able to purchase a few because they're hard to find now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a quick question. Having been there for 3 years, it's fun to get kind of different versions because it's a big family.
Yeah.
In the tasting room, it used to be in the old tasting room, but that panel that we have saved from the original barn that has the RY carved in that.
Right.
Do you want to tell us kind of your version or just kind of the
All I know is that was carved into the wood in the barn portion where we had a gas tank. I mean, you know, where you could put gas in your pickup or whatever. That was carved there. So when we took the old barn down to build the winery, we saved that, you know, portion of wood that had those initials, R.Y. Robert Young. So when Dad carved them there, who knows? I don't know, but that's my story. You hear another story, Lindsay?
I don't think so. We just weren't. I've heard that no one was positive that it was Robert. Might have been one of the one of the other little kids that carved the RY.
Yeah, in that barn, a lot of stories in that old barn. My sister used to keep hay in the top of the barn, and when she was like, you know, a teenager, she climbed up there, and the big there's a big fork that they use to move the hay. Well, she got jabbed by that once. That was an incident in the barn. And once my daughter Kelly, backing up Grandpa, my dad Robert's pickup to gas it up, actually scraped the side of his pickup. And was she worried? So, but you know, you got to go tell Grandpa. So when she went to tell him, you know, and shaking in her boots, he just kind of laughed it off. And that was Dad. He said, "Oh, that's nothing. I drove the truck all the way through the back of the barn when he was younger." So he was very forgiving. Yeah, that was Dad.
That's awesome. Well, and I find this you know, this slide that we have up right here so interesting because it's funny. There's so many options and so many words that you guys looked at, and like Clone 17 is one of the options, and now we've made that into a wine. So that's pretty cool.
Right, we have, yeah. Yeah, there's so many. The word on the fourth panel, rimhoekdie, that's actually a South African word. And we had a lot of guests from South Africa. When we were still a prune ranch, we had a visitor from South Africa who would come to check out our farm or farms in our area. And we became great friends with this family in South Africa, and their farm was called Rimhoekdie. And so they said, "Well, what's the name of your farm?" "Well, we don't have a name. It's just on Red Winery Road." "Oh, well, you have to have a name." So they sort of gave us this name, their name. And so in the Young family, that word means something. And so we are still friends with that family in South Africa onto the third and fourth generation now. So we've been friends a long time. And they live in about 70 miles north of Cape Town in a little town called Toolbach. And they also have grapes and prunes and all of that.
Very cool. Well, thanks again, Sue. And I think now at this point, we'll turn it over to Mackenzie and to Scott to chat a little bit about our Rosé and Sauvignon Blanc and a surprise coming up.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Mackenzie. I work in hospitality. I'm going to be talking about the 2019 Rosé. This is our third vintage of Rosé. It's made out of Malbec and Merlot grapes. It's made in neutral French oak barrels. This is one of my favorite and most refreshing wines we make. It's actually delicious on a hot day. As the weather kind of gets warmer in the summer here, this rosé really hits the spot. It's a great pool wine. I kind of get watermelon and strawberries on it, but I think it's beautifully balanced and just really wonderful in the summer months.
Yeah, that's a big wine too. For those red wine only drinkers, this is going to work really well.
Yeah, and all
Take it out to the pool.
most of our folks are Chardonnay lovers. So both our Rosé and our Sauvignon Blanc, we age, as Mackenzie said, neutral French oak barrels. So neutral French oak gives it a little bit of mouthfeel and texture, whereas the majority of Sauvignon Blancs or Rosés are aged in stainless steel, so they're a bit more acidic. This one is lower acidity and has a little mouthfeel and texture, as I mentioned, kind of like a Chardonnay. I think you guys will really enjoy it a lot. Is that what you're drinking, Fran? Some rosé? Awesome.
There you go. Well, it's the right day. I mean, what is it, 95 degrees?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been called a porch pounder. You could call it a pool pounder.
Man, it's just yummy.
Yeah. I like to go down to the pool with a bunch of my friends, me, myself, and I, and just have a bottle of wine. It's a good.
And it pairs up really good with salmon. So there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the rosé I'll add. We did 7 barrels of it, so we didn't produce a lot of it, but it goes pretty quick. So I would say by I think last year it was like July we were sold out of it, which is pretty cool. Our Sauvignon Blanc, which I see Scott has cracked open.
I do. I have it cracked open, and I tore the foil off. That's like the biggest no-no on the planet, but I'm in my house, so I don't care. But this is a beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. The nose on this is really, really nice. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm Scott Jordan. I work in the tasting room along with Robbie and Mackenzie and Lindsay, and Karen comes in every once in a while to get us excited about what's going on in the business. This is a true Sauvignon Blanc. What's really, really nice about this is a lot of times in the Sauvignon Blancs, they tend to get a little grassy. And then there's another scenario, which I won't say on the broadcast, but what is it?
Beeline aroma.
Beeline aroma. I don't know what that is.
Feline like a cat.
Oh, feline, like cat. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't have that, but it can spoil it in the nose. The nose of this is really, really nice. Again, this also aged 5 months in neutral French oak barrels. So barrels that have been used before in the neutral category, those are barrels that have seen several vintages. And it's not imparting a lot of the oak feel and flavors, but it does give you a bit of roundness in the mouthfeel. And that's what makes this Sauvignon Blanc so approachable. In your plan for your dinner, this is wonderful because all your white cheeses are going to go really well with this. Some of your white fishes will react very nice. And again, on a really hot day, you definitely want the Rosé or Sauvignon Blanc.
It's good with a little spicy food too, like Indian or Thai or Mexican food.
Yeah, absolutely.
White, crisp wine like that. It's a nice option.
And we notice, in the flavor profile, they're right on the money. Lemon, limes, a hint of pineapple. That's what you want in a classic Sauvignon Blanc. The interesting thing with the white wines at Robert Young is they're grown in a pretty hot climate. So they do a lot of extra stuff in the vineyard to really protect those white grapes that tend to have a smaller skin. And it allows them to create a really wonderful wine. Retail on that is $36. Not a big production, 15 barrels. That might seem a lot for your garage, but I'll tell you, that's not a lot of wine. And like the rosé, when it's gone, it's gone. So you have a little advantage this year because of us being sidelined for the last 8 weeks. But I think when you guys get a chance to come back in, you're going to accelerate that a little bit because it's time for these really nice, crisp wines that work so well in a very, very hot climate today. I mean, it's warm out.
And guys, you might remember that we featured the Sauvignon Blanc and the Rosé in our summer series Summer Fun Pack. That was a 6-pack that had these 2 wines, Clone 17, Chardonnay, our AV Chardonnay, and our Viognier, I believe, possibly the Malone as well. Anyhow, we're bringing this back up because, Rob, do you want to reveal the next slide?
Yes.
Oh boy.
We now have Rosé and Sauvignon Blanc Magnums. Yay!
Yeah, you gotta love that.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this for a very, very, very long time. And we've had, ever since we produced the rosé, especially, we've had folks ask if we have magnums, and now we're finally able to offer them. And I know they'll go like crazy. I think we only did maybe 2 cases of them. So not of each. Yeah, a little over 20 bottles, not a lot.
The Sauv Blanc has the beautiful wax top. The Rosé has the twist top. The Sauv Blanc will age a little bit longer, of course, because it's in a Magnum format. But they're all just really a great option for this summer and for this time of year, and just kind of a nice little showpiece too. You're definitely popular at the dinner party with that guy.
Yeah.
You like the Magnum. Nothing better than a big format.
We didn't really think that we'd get a lot of questions on this just because, again, we had already touched on these 2 varietals, but one of the 2, I think just Petit Verdot, and then also Malbec was the main one that we didn't really go over. So Rob's going to talk to you a little bit about the 16 Malbec, our current release. And then that way we will have rounded out the entire Robert Young profile for you.
Yes. Yeah, so our 16 Malbecs are current release. This year it's 85% Malbec with a little bit of Petit Verdot and Merlot. It comes from our hillside, just kind of back behind the tasting room. And we only did 8 barrels of it, so another very small production. We're very fortunate here being a very large grape grower, so we do have the availability to produce these single lot Malbecs, Petit Verdots, Cab Francs, Merlot, etc. And this is something along with those other varietals that you don't see too often, because typically the people that do grow them, typically they're purchased or used for Bordeaux blends. But since, again, we are the growers, we do grow enough of it to bottle into our Scion or our other Cabernet, but also bottle it individually. Yes.
And we're missing Matt today, unfortunately, or fortunately. He's bottling right now, today and tomorrow. And actually, Mackenzie and Rob will get a little chance later in the week to see a little bit of that process. So we'll be sure to take some pictures and to put those on our next virtual tasting and see kind of what you guys want out of the next couple tastings. Like I said, we're going to offer the feature on the website, and you can really customize your experience and your group. Or you can just email us and say, hey, we're interested in chatting just about this topic or this varietal or what have you, because we want to make sure that we're continuing these.
Yes, definitely. Another thing I'll add, which I know Malbec isn't a summer wine, however, it is at the lighter end of our red varietals. It's definitely not as big as any of our Cabernets. It's a little bit softer on the palate, less tannins than any of the Cabs. A whole lot of more red fruits, a little bit of darker fruits as well, but definitely raspberry, cherries, maybe a little bit of cranberries into that as well. But definitely drinking beautifully right now. So the 17 were technically released here in your next shipment. But we have a handful of, I think, of the 16 left.
Yeah, we're getting down to the wire on some of these. I think some of the whites, we only have large formats left, actually, like clone and maybe even a few of the barrel.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, this wine is pouring really well. And, you know, when you, well, if you have air conditioning in your house and then you're inside eating, then that's perfect for your big meat dish. Robbie will be happy to go over to your house and cook, you know, some ribeyes so you can have the right meal with that. So
That's right.
Offer that up. You know, it's a new thing he does. It's great.
Yes. 24-hour notice. A couple bottles for me to get started while I cook. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's pouring nice. I mean, it's really soft. That's a pretty wine.
Yeah, I think the thing I like about this is it's not something you find at other wineries for the most part. Typically, people just blend them in there. So when people can actually be able to taste it individually by themselves, they're pretty surprised and shocked that they like it. Because I know Malbec has a reputation for being very, very big and bold, especially in Argentina. However, this is on the softer end, very soft and approachable.
And you know what I do when it's hot like this, if I've got people out by the pool and hanging, I take the red wines and I put them right in the cooler. And then when I want to have a glass, what happens is it'll stay a little cool, which is fine, and then gradually get a little warmer as you go along. But there's nothing wrong with that. It allows you to enjoy a big wine in a warm climate. So yeah, you can cheat a little bit. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want it ice cold, but you know, a little chill to it won't hurt.
55.
Yeah.
55, 60. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's a pretty wine. That's doing well.
All right, what do we got next, Rob?
So we do have some shipping specials, and then also some discounts on some of the wines, which will follow after this. But many of you have seen the shipping deal that we've extended. So 3 bottles, $10 ground, 6 bottles, $7, and of course a case is complimentary. And you can mix or match any of our wines. Surely contact Lindsay as usual. Give us a call at 431-4811. Another promo we have going on is celebrating the Llama Sutter's birthday, which you can see over here to the right. And we're actually offering an additional 10% discount on 6 or more of these wines, and shipping included on these 6. And that is our 17 Alexander Valley Chard, our 2016 Merlot, and the 2016 Alexander Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. So if you are a member receiving 10 or 20% discount, you'll get an additional 10% off of that, which is huge for us.
Massive. How old is Sutter?
Say that again, sorry.
How old is Sutter? Sutter's birthday.
Yeah, Sutter, I don't know the exact date, unfortunately. However, if I had to guess, maybe he's like 7 or 8, something like that.
That's what I was thinking. I think he's about 8.
Yeah.
8? Okay.
And he's the one we told the story recently that he got out and actually ended up wandering around up top at the Scion house, and Robbie and Fred had to wrangle him back down. It was pretty entertaining. Maybe I'll show those pictures next time.
Yeah, that was pretty funny because I was hosting a couple of wine club members up here, and I looked the guests look out over behind where Lindsay is. That's the view they see, looking out over the valley floor, and I'm looking back to the tasting room. And through the tasting room, I can see the llama going through the parking lot. So I'm trying to wrap things up with the customer so I can go, see what the llama's doing. And I give as I'm calling my dad's actually, I see him hauling up the hill, so I go up and help him. And next thing you know, I'm trying to lasso a llama and get him back in the pasture, and then I have to go up and finish the tasting, which is pretty funny.
I'd like the video of that one. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's hard to do. That's pretty cool.
Here.
Well, that's a good price on those wines. That's a heck of a deal.
Yes.
Well, and folks, again, one of the many reasons, besides the fact of covering all the varietals at this point, that we chose this as our last official Wednesday weekly virtual tasting is because we're looking at a soft opening of the tasting room this weekend. By appointment, constricted time frame, certain regulations that we have to apply to that, and hopefully will lighten and change over the coming weeks. But please give us a call, noon to 5, this starting this weekend, and appointment only. And again, we wait for the website to have the virtual tasting option, or reach out to us and let us know that you'd like to do more. If you want to do certain group within the membership, or a certain group maybe in Healdsburg or someone on the East Coast, whatever you'd like to do, we're all about it. We've had a lot of fun with these as well, and we just really appreciate your continued support.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Fran, thank you for supporting us again. Love seeing you guys show up, which is awesome. The rest of you, Scott, Kevin, Pam, I see that has Pam Moon. She's doesn't have her camera up, but I know she's.
Yeah, I don't, but thank you. It's been great. Can't wait to come up.
Thank you. We're looking for.
Yeah, we need you to come up, because I drove through the valley today and I was blown away. I haven't been up there for maybe 3 weeks, and I'm telling you, that is the most beautiful sight to see those vineyards. I'm telling you, and basically, if you come up, you got the whole valley to yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. I have a friend that wants to come
you get
up.
some deals on hotels too. And I bet the flights are still super cheap. So anybody that's way out of the area, get away from your family for a while. Get out with us. We're happy to entertain you.
Yeah, happy to host y'all.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
We're excited to open up and get back to normal, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. And, let us know if you have questions or concerns or want to order some wine.
All right.
Yeah, perfect.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
We'll see you
Be good, guys.
next time.
All right, be safe.